Hey guys, and welcome to the Queendom mentality. I have a question for you. Do you want to manifest the life of your dreams, fall irreversibly in love with your life and yourself, develop confidence like no other, have anything and anything that you want, become the person that you are destined to be, create the business or job opportunity of your dreams, glow and thrive from the inside out, and go from the victim to the victor of your life? If you have said yes to any of those things, then welcome to the Queendom Mentality YouTube channel. I think that you might enjoy being here. Today I want to talk about the power of forgiveness and its role in manifesting the life of your dreams. First though, I want to tell you about my personal story with forgiveness and how my refusal to forgive was keeping me being life's victim until I made the conscious decision to begin forgiving. Growing up through childhood, I had a very, very tumultuous life, especially at home. My home was peppered with fights, with infighting between my parents, a lot of manipulation, a lot of sadness, and a lot of anger. Both fights and manipulation and refusal to forgive were common themes that I saw day in and day out in my family life. On top of this, I was the shy, chubby kid at school, so the target for bullies. I was bullied rather ferociously. And of course, this constant bullying all throughout my primary school life made me so resentful, not only towards the bullies themselves, but to the kids that weren't getting bullied, and of course resentful to myself for being the way that I was. Of course, modeling my parents from a very young age, as all kids do, I learned from them to hold on to everything with an iron fist and not let go of anything, hold grudges, and never ever forgive anyone for anything that they had ever done, even if they said sorry. Because to me, sorry was just a word that you used to finish an argument, not to actually create an environment for forgiveness, true lasting forgiveness. So that means that if anyone made mistakes, if anyone had any problems with me, if I ever made any mistakes, I refused to forgive it all. I held on to everything and I let myself be really angry about it. And all this began to show itself in my life. Not only did I develop massive anxiety, massive depression, I gained loads and loads of weight from binge eating. I became sick very frequently, and I began to manifest very toxic people into my life that were also displaying these same behaviors that I had inside of me. So refusal to forgive, anger, resentment, all of those ways of being I looked for in my friends. All these people that I manifested were hurting just as much as I was, and they talked the same talk that I did, that holding grudges is the way to live. Male and female figures began to appear into my life that emulated the parts of my mum and dad that I was refusing to forgive and that I was holding on to myself. I began to attract the same type of bosses even, no matter what job I went to, and I hopped from job to job to job to try and escape this particular type of person, but it just seemed to follow me no matter what job I went into. It was like a downward spiral that I was on, manifesting my triggers and then reacting to them and refusing to forgive people that triggered me, leading into the next situation that would produce more of the same and more of the same, and down and down and down and down I went into this sick spiral of manifesting exactly what was making me unhappy and exactly what I didn't want in my life. Does any of this sound familiar to you? I eventually woke up at my lowest point when I was at my most sick, my most unfulfilled, my heaviest I had ever been, my most depressed and my most anxious, and I looked around me and realized that I had become a victim of my past, trapped there by my refusal to forgive and let go of the things that I still felt was so important to hang on to. Namely resentments, namely grudges, namely problems that I had had in the past with people, no matter how long ago they were. And I just eventually realized that I wanted out of this. I wasn't happy. It was making me distressed. I was uncomfortable. I didn't have the life that I wanted. So I realized that the only way out of the past was to get all of those things that I had been holding so tightly onto and let them go. When I started to free myself from all of this and start to employ some forgiveness in my life, I was shocked at how quickly amazing things are manifesting into my life. New opportunities, new patterns of thinking, new creativity, new people, new thought patterns and mindset shifts, and all of these things that I had never experienced up until this point. And this is because I was creating space in my life for these things. As I let go of resentment, as I let go of guilt and shame and anger and stories and past emotions, I was freeing up space within my body for these new things to come through and take and occupy that space instead. That brings me to today, when my life has changed dramatically since the moment that I decided to start employing forgiveness and clearing tactics, create new things in my life, and to get more of the good stuff and to start manifesting the life of my dreams rather than being a victim of my past circumstances. I now sleep better. I now look after myself better. I'm in a position where I'm creating the business of my dreams. I have lost 10 kilograms that I have not been able to lose my whole life. I've paid $10,000 off my debt that has been plaguing me for years. All of this is not to brag. All of this is just to prove to you and to tell you and let you know that this is possible for you too when you start employing forgiveness and clearing your life of this toxicity and allowing new things to come in. Honestly, I cannot believe how fast it worked for me. So let's talk about forgiveness and how clearing space in your life via forgiveness and cord cutting can create room for all those big desires that you want to manifest. There is something that I learned in a course that I did last year on manifestation. It was Manifestation Babe Academy by Catherine Zenkina, Manifestation Babe herself, and this quote really stuck out to me, and it is that nature abhors a vacuum. In layman's terms, means nature hates empty space, and it is always looking to fill that empty space with something. And when you hold on to resentment, you are holding on to emotions, you are holding on to people, and you are holding on to situations that are taking up the room that could be occupied by something better, that could be occupied by something amazing, that could be occupied by the life that you want. Which means that by forgiving the ex, that friend, your a-hole boss, your parents, your family, and most importantly yourself, you are freeing up space in your life and in your mind for better things to come in. In this way, forgiveness is not about them. It is not about the person. It is not about the situation. It is not about how fair or unfair it was. It is not about the happening. It is about you. So forgiveness is not about justifying what happened to you. Forgiveness is not to let other people off the hook. And I hear this a lot when it comes to the pushback against forgiveness. And a lot of people that are so addicted to the pain and addicted to the righteousness that comes with refusal to forgive will argue that they feel like they're letting the other person off the hook. To that I say that the only person that you are hurting through your refusal to forgive is yourself. That person is living their life. That person is not feeling the anger that you are feeling. Only you are feeling the anger that you are feeling, and you are manifesting things into your life by perpetuating that anger. So don't you deserve to be free? You've already been hurt. Don't you deserve to live a better life and to let that situation go rather than replaying it over and over and over again and holding on to the people that hurt you? Because those people are out there living their lives and you should be living yours. So when we look at this graph, we can see that forgiveness in its energetic form is the highest vibrational frequency that exists, and that is freedom, because when we forgive, we free ourselves from the bonds of the past. This is the frequency that your highest self, living in their highest form, living their ultimate absolute dream and purpose, is vibrating at. So they are experiencing freedom, gratitude, joy, abundance, and fulfillment. So anything and everything that you deeply desire is also at that level. And you need to let go of the hurt, the anger, the resentment, and anything else that you are experiencing because you are refusing to forgive in order to live at that level. Those things are like an anchor attached to your leg that are dragging you down and preventing you from achieving the things that you want to achieve and from having the life that you ultimately want to live. And you may need to forgive more people more often than you may think. Us humans, we're mere mortals, we're walking around with so much emotional baggage attached to us that sometimes we don't even know that we have. And it weighs us down big time. That's why I'm about to share these exercises with you that personally helped me be able to let go of events, of people, of situations and things that hurt me at the time, but now I can set free and let go of, so I'm no longer living in the past. I can now look forward to the future. And to be honest, this has given me the license and the ability to manifest the shit out of my dreams and desires and give myself permission to get out of my own way and get after the things that I want without feeling like I have to explain it to anyone, because I'm owning my present reality and the past has already happened. It doesn't exist anymore and I'm free from it. And that is honestly the best feeling. So the very first thing that I want you to understand when it comes to forgiveness is this realization that really was a pivot moment for me. It was a turning point. It is this: everyone is only doing the best that they can with the resources that they have with them at that moment in time. And this is including yourself. So anyone that may have made any mistakes, including yourself, anyone that may have hurt you, including yourself, when you look back at that situation, at that person, when you're assessing it and you realize that those people or you yourself were only doing the best that they could at that time with the resources, with the knowledge, with the emotional intelligence that they had at that time, it is honestly so freeing for you, and it makes you understand that people inherently aren't bad. They make bad choices, they make bad decisions, they are hurt themselves, and so they perpetuate that hurt cycle because sometimes people are just walking around blindly following the patterns from their childhood. The people that hurt you or the mistakes that they made with the intelligence, with the emotional capacity, and with all the resources that they had available to them at that time, which may not have been that many. The second thing that has enabled me to really forgive and to let go is the cord cutting visualization. And this is something that I also learned from Manifestation Babe, Catherine Sankina. And basically what you want to do is you want to close your eyes and you want to imagine that you are in a room in a big white warehouse that goes on and on and on and on and on, like as far as the eye can see sideways and as far as the eye can see lengthways. And imagine in this warehouse you are standing in front of every single person in your life that has ever hurt you, that has ever done you wrong, that you've ever had a problem with, that you've ever had an issue with, no matter how long you've known them, whether it was just the man that honked at you this morning in the car, or it's a family member, someone that's really close to you. Imagine every single little person standing in front of you, and imagine that they all have cords that are coming from like the center of their belly here, which is like this area. Imagine they have cords of light, and I like to imagine blue light for some reason, but you can choose whatever color light you want. And every single person that has hurt you, their cord coming from that center of their belly near the solar plexus is coming out and is kind of shooting towards you and connecting to yours. So it's almost like you're attached cord to cord. It's like energy, right? Imagine now that there is this golden wall that comes down. Basically like a guillotine just drops down and slices through every single little cord. Some cords I always imagine to be thicker than others because the connection between that person might be a bit stronger than others. But just imagine those guillotines, those sheets of golden guillotines just coming down and down and down until every cord is chopped through. And then imagine that their energy that they had coming out and projecting towards you is now returning to them, and your energy that was coming out and projecting towards them is now returning to you. Honestly, this visualization has helped me so much, especially when I've had issues with people that were in authoritative positions above myself. I found that sometimes I needed to do it multiple times with the same people, but this visualization exercise really helps. It helps clear the connection that you might have had that you are finding hard to let go of between you and those people, and it is a really handy tool to have in your tool belt if you find that you have issues letting things go. This third thing is, I'm going to butcher the name. It is Ho'oponopono, and that might just be my accent, my Australian accent butchering that. Essentially what it is it's a ancient Hawaiian forgiveness technique. I don't know too much about the detail of it. I just know kind of the general theme, and it's something that I've just learned from mentors. Essentially what it is this, and it's another visualization that I like to do. So you close your eyes and you imagine now you're one-on-one with someone that you really want to forgive, or that you really want to let go of. You stand in front of them and you say these 4 things to them. I'm sorry, I forgive you, thank you, I love you. You say it as many times that you need until it stops becoming uncomfortable, and then you imagine that they're saying it back to you. Although it can be very confronting, especially when you're saying I love you to someone that has really hurt you, it's so freeing to be able to say these things to someone. Essentially you're recognizing that you are both humans. You are human to human. You both have your own flaws, but you both deserve to be free from this situation. You both deserve to let go of this situation. You in particular deserve to carry on with your life free of anything that might be holding you down, which is why the loved one is so important, because when we say something to someone else, we hear it ourselves the loudest. Your subconscious mind takes everything personally. So coming back to the Ho'oponopono, I forgive you, thank you, I'm sorry, and I love you, you're actually saying those things to yourself as much as you're saying it to the other person. It really does just give you that strength and empowerment to forgive the situation and also move on. Number 4 is something that I have utilized a couple of times, but I actually find it really freeing, because a lot of these other things that I've shared with you are more like peaceful, but this 4th thing that I use to help me forgive situations is I write an angry letter to whoever I am wanting to forgive, and I just let it all go. I let it all out. Any thought that comes into my mind, I don't judge myself. I call them any name that's in my brain. I say anything to them that I have wanted to say, but you know, it was bottled up inside of me. I just put it all on the paper, and you don't want to hold back when it comes to this letter, because you want to clear any of that energy that was inside of you that has been stirring and boiling up inside of you. You just want to let it all flow out onto the piece of paper. But you want to do it and make a promise to yourself that once that this is all out of you, you are never going to think these things again. You are going to let this situation go, because there is no point doing this exercise if you are using it as a justification tool to keep yourself angry. So you have to make a promise to yourself that yes, I'm going to let it all go. I'm going to let it all out. I am going to give it to this person in this letter. Call them any name under the sun. I'm going to let every single thing that I have ever thought about this person, or any wrong that they have ever done to me, or all my anger, all my resentment, everything, all my rage, everything onto this piece of paper. But once it is done, it is done. I personally did that with a former boss, and oh my God, I cannot believe the things that came out of that pen. But once it was out of me, it was gone. It was out, it was clear, and it was free. And sometimes doing something like that brings up things that we've been holding on to because we're nice people, because we don't think those are nice things to say. But sometimes keeping those things in can actually be more toxic and harmful to you than just to express them and let them go. I let out this letter to my boss. I obviously never showed him. That's another thing. Like, you never want to show the person. You want to keep it to yourself, or rip it up, or burn it, or chuck it in the bin, or whatever else you need to do. But after that, I was actually able to find a job where I finally didn't have a boss that was like that, and it cut the cycle and it cut the pattern. So write the angry letter, but make the promise to yourself that once it's out, it's out. Don't show the person that it was addressed to, because that can cause more harm. Obviously, keep it to yourself, and then just clear that space, move the energy, and then move on from the situation. Number 5 is all about forgiveness of the self. This can be the hardest thing to do because at first we might not think that we have anything to forgive, but we make mistakes our whole lives. We're with ourselves our whole lives, and we may not think that we are holding a grudge against ourselves, but more often than not, there are certain things in your past that you wish that you could have done or done better. And so forgiveness of the self is also equally, if not as or more important, as forgiving other people, because when you refuse to forgive yourself, you're at war, right, with yourself. And how can you manifest certain things into your life and all these things that you dream about? How can you do that when you're at war with yourself? The energy is much better and it is much more potent when you can just forgive yourself, accept yourself as you are and as you were in the past, let it go, and stop holding that resentment towards yourself. So the very first thing that I like to do when it comes to forgiveness of myself is mantras. What a mantra or an affirmation is it's an affirming statement that you say to yourself that resonates with yourself, that empowers you, right? So when it comes to forgiveness, for example, I like to say something like, I fully and completely love and accept myself. You always want to talk in the present tense, never in the past tense or the future tense, because when we manifest in the present tense because you want to act and believe that whatever that you are trying to manifest, including self-forgiveness, it is already done. So we always talk in the present tense. Another really simple one, they don't have to be complex, is I forgive myself. The third one could be something like, I realize or I understand that I'm only doing the best that I can with the resources that I have available to me. Again, it's just acknowledging you and, you know, your past, and that past you obviously didn't have the knowledge, past you didn't have the opportunity, and past you didn't have the information or maybe the emotional intelligence that you in the present have. And so by choosing to affirm these words to yourself instead of beating yourself up, it is much, much more powerful. The very last one that I want to talk about is so cliche when it comes to me, because I love talking about this, and it is being grateful. Be grateful for all the situations that have happened to you, because without them, you would not be the person that you are in this moment. You could be, without these situations, you could be someone completely different. You would not be as strong as you are. You would not be as kind and compassionate as you are. You would be a totally different version of yourself. I believe that certain things happen to us in our lives to turn us into the people that we are destined to become. By being grateful for all these things that have happened to us, it's not to say like, thank you so much for the hurt. It's thank you for the learning opportunity that this provided me. Thank you that it enabled me to become so much stronger. When you think about a really simple explanation of kind of what I'm trying to get at, is when you go to the gym and when you lift weights, you know, you have to tear apart the muscles in order for those muscles to grow back stronger. And essentially these things in life can tear us apart, but we come back stronger than we were before. And so gratitude always has its place in forgiveness as well. So that is everything for this video. I hope that it helped you guys understand forgiveness a little bit more, or maybe see forgiveness from another perspective, how absolutely freeing that it can be for you. You deserve to have the life that you were brought here to live. Anything that you can think and dream of, anything that you desire is meant to be yours. And the only things sometimes that are standing in your way are certain things like, you know, refusal to forgive or living in the past. And so by clearing these things, you give yourself permission and you give yourself space to grow into the person that you were destined to be. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time for another video on how to go from being the victim in your life to the victor. Thank you. Bye.